Mugwort has been a sacred plant to many cultures for millennia as a protector and a guide on the spiritual path. And the nature spirit that inhabits the mugwort plant was understood to be a powerful guardian to those that would invoke it through prayer and ritual. So to explore this side of mugwort, we have to stray from the more linear and often corporately motivated field of medical science and look more towards those ancient cultures whose lives were dictated by the seasonal rhythms of nature. Since pre-Buddhist times, Tibetan people have burned mugwort as a sacrificial herb to appease nature spirits and establish a peaceful relationship with them. And burning mugwort incense was, and still is, believed to repel malevolent entities, harmful energies, and remove obstacles from one's path. Over 1,000 years ago, the Ainu people that were indigenous to northern Japan used mugwort smoke to scare away what they called the devils of disease, and sprigs of mugwort would also be hung up in windows and doorways to protect living spaces from infectious illnesses. In medieval Europe, the festival of St. John in midsummer involved freshly harvested mugwort being woven into girdles and worn around the waist before being cast into a bonfire to ask for protection from disease and misfortune for the following year. And this tradition stemmed from the belief that St. John the Baptist wore a braided garland of mugwort as he travelled the wilderness as a means of defence against evil spirits. Mugwort was the ally of witches and was an important herb in many protective spells and practices of paganism, and druids were also strong proponents of the dream pillow, where fresh mugwort was used as stuffing for pillows, promoting much more vivid dream states where visions and symbols were interpreted as important messages from other dimensions. The Dakota tribe invoked the spirit of mugwort through sacred pipe rituals to protect their community from evil spirits, and also as a ceremony to eliminate obstacles and misfortune when inaugurating a new chief. The Miwok tribe of Northern California used mugwort in much the same way as European paganism. Wreaths of mugwort would be worn by tribespeople to deter ghosts and harmful spirits and to bring good fortune, and then the dried plant would be burned as an offering to the spirits of nature. All of these traditions, often separated by era or continent, all treasured their relationship with this plant for the same reason, that the spirit of mugwort was a benevolent protector of its domain and all of those who dwell within it. And so this really echoes back to the Greek goddess Artemis, the noble steward of the wilderness, and of course the source of the name Artemisia. And so since time immemorial, mugwort has been the guardian of individuals, families, and communities alike. And almost every culture that has worked with mugwort has used it in the context of dream medicine, and this has always been a common theme where people will make direct contact with the spirit of mugwort through the dream state. Tantric Buddhist practitioners in Tibet have burned mugwort incense to assist them in the practice of dream yoga, which is a complex and fascinating series of meditations that must be carried out consciously while awake, but also while sleeping. Now, the purpose of dream yoga is to completely transform one's emotions through the experience of dream, to realize the ultimate nature of one's mind, and in doing so, direct the subtle energies of the body and elicit the deepest healing. There is an extensive tradition of dream healing across Native American cultures. In fact, almost all knowledge of the healing properties of mugwort in Native American herbalism arrived through the medium of dream, as was the case with many plant medicines. And this is the more shamanic side of medicine, a non-linear and less predictable facet of healing that was and still is disregarded by the more surface-dwelling, analytical approach to scientific medicine. Yet, interestingly, the traditional knowledge of medicine that was acquired through more spiritual means has frequently proven to be very accurate when looked at through the scrutiny of logic and medical science, as we've already seen. Native American traditions, like a great many indigenous peoples the world over, learned about the therapeutic properties of plants from the plants themselves, and not simply through countless generations of trial and error, but from direct communion with the plants. And this contact with plant spirits would often happen during the experience of dream. So sometimes these visions would spontaneously occur, and at other times they would be prompted and guided by a catalyst, such as mugwort. Mugwort contains thujone, which is a monoterpene, and it's an isomer of camphor. And thujone is psychoactive. It's a stimulant to the central nervous system, but it's generally not present in enough quantity to be toxic, unless, of course, somebody was going to consume an insane amount of mugwort all in one sitting. But that said, thujone is still present in enough quantity to have a mild psychoactive effect. The molecular shape of thujone is similar to tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, but it doesn't respond to cannabinoid receptors in the body in the same way. Now, thujone is a GABA antagonist, and GABA is a neurotransmitter that inhibits the excitability of the central nervous system. And as an antagonist to GABA, thujone can create states of excitation within the brain. And perhaps this partially explains mugwort's psychoactive properties and its traditional uses as a herb of vision quests and dream healing, but it's really not possible to dissect the interdependent, sacred complexity of nature through some kind of linear analysis like this, because in centuries past, when the precise and accurate, detailed information on mugwort's healing properties was acquired through dream, this cannot simply be explained away by ingesting or inhaling thujone, or really any other compound for that matter. And this really is the boundary of our new scientific religion, because if something cannot be demystified through a purely logical explanation, then it must be disregarded. But disposing of a truth like this does absolutely nothing to disprove it.